Please make sure to subscribe and hit this bell icon and say all and save. And that's all you need so you don't miss my pretty face. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great session with legendary Sandeep Kanoli. Sorry, guys, there was just something happening before we started recording. So I'm just laughing because it's like an inside joke thing, but I mispronounced his last name. So, yes, welcome, Sandeep Kanoli, my main man from Chicago conference, my food buddy, my drinking buddy. And right there, when we were talking most of the time outside the conference, he spoke to me about level 2, level 3, level 4 of Paddathi, including a brand new concept of Trikon Rashis. Okay, we're going to get to it at the end of this class. So, Sandeep, you're going to show us the level 2 of Paddathi, which is pretty much like an onion layer, you said in the beginning when you first made that video. So, what are you sharing with us today?
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Kapilji, for inviting me to your channel. I know we talked a lot about a lot of different concepts.
Oh, yes.
Talked a lot. One of them was actually, the Trikon Nakshatra concept, which we'll talk a little bit maybe towards the end. But then I really wanted to share the level 2 techniques of Paddathi. I just finished a course on it, so it's like kind of fresh in my mind. But I felt like these concepts needed to be shared, at least the basic concept of that, because it's kind of something new which I've been working on, and felt like, okay, there is something to it,
Yeah.
Just to give everyone a backdrop, the whole Paddathi has been a way to connect the Rashis with the Nakshatras in a new way. And what we did in the previous Paddathi video, we created a pie map based on the Nakshatra Lord planet and the Rashis connected with it. We were able to obtain the house numbers with respect to one particular planet, by making a particular Nakshatra as the ascendant. And now we are going to take that kind of concept to the next level. There are more levels you can add to it, make it more complex, but just taking it to the next level, of connecting the Rashis to the Nakshatras itself is literally something new, a new way of looking at Nakshatra.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to present this idea so that perhaps other researchers out there can also work on it and probably take it to the next level too. But yeah, forgive me, my Mac is old, so there might be a background noise.
Yeah, because you're one of those Mac users.
Yeah. So I'm just calling this
relationship is doomed.
Yeah, Mac. Yeah, we talked about sound, so maybe that's something interesting to look into with Mac and maybe all that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where's the Leo in your chart? Oh, that's right. I know you're
right.
Leo Lord and yeah.
Right. So deciphering nakshatras to Rashis, which is what Paddathi has been all about. Now we are going to look into that the next level. And just to give a brief intro to this, I've been actually presenting the same concept even in the Cosmic Insights monthly Nakshatra research seminar thing. We have that going on every month in the last Friday, Saturday time period of a month. And
okay.
But yeah, this is a level 2 of Paddathi.
And you're also doing consultations too from Cosmic Insights app.
Yeah, so I've started doing consultations through Cosmic Insights app. Cosmic Insights app is the Nakshatra-based app. A lot of Nakshatra knowledge for that within that app. If you want to study Nakshatras, use Cosmic Insights straight up. So very heavily Nakshatra-intensive app. But here, obviously, this is the Rashis here. You have the 12 Rashis, and then you have the 27 Nakshatras around the Rashis, right? And definitely in the Kalpurish Kundali, all the Rashis are controlled in Nakshatra. But just to go through the basics first, we know the lordships of all the Rashis of Sun and Moon ruling Leo. Then the next nearest planet to the Sun is Mercury, who is ruling both Gemini and Virgo, which is the next set of signs.
Mm-hmm.
The next planet is Venus, based on the distance from Sun, ruling Libra and Taurus. Next is Mars and Ketu here for Scorpio and Aries. For Aries, it's only Mars. Then you have Jupiter based on the distance again. Sagittarius and Pisces, and Saturn, the farthest ruling sun. Farthest planet from the sun, ruling Capricorn and Aquarius. So these are the basics. I've just shown it here both in the South Indian chart and the North Indian chart. Now, the next concept is that of the exaltation signs for all the Rashis. That's how we relate each of the planet to certain Rashis, right? So Sun is exalted in Aries, as you can see here.
Yeah.
Moon in Taurus, Jupiter in Cancer, Mercury in Virgo, Saturn, Libra. Ketu and Rahu, we are saying Ketu is exalted in Scorpio and Rahu in Taurus for the time being. There are many schools of thought. You are all welcome to, experiment with the basic concept which I'm sharing here. Mars in Capricorn, Venus in Pisces, so that's the exaltation sign. And it's more like a resort for the planet. The planet is very happy here. The energies are very strong here. The interpretation, of course, depends upon the chart and ascendant and all that. Now, if exaltation sign is like a resort, the debilitation sign is like a bad motel for the planet. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it. It's always opposite the exaltation sign. So Sun being exalted in Aries, Sun is debilitated in Libra. The opposite is the case for Saturn, who is actually debilitated in Aries, And then Mercury and Venus also exchange signs of exaltation and debilitation. Mars and Jupiter also exchange signs. And Moon is getting debilitated in Scorpio. So that's also one more thing here. And then finally, Mars is having its Multrikon in Aries. So Multrikon signs are more like the head office for the planet. That's a simple way to think. So things are much more balanced within that Multrikon sign. You can think of Moon having its Multrikon again in Taurus, Sun having its Multrikon in Leo, Mercury, interestingly, is also having its Multrikon in Virgo, the sign of exaltation. Venus is having its Multrikon in Libra, Jupiter in Sagittarius, and Saturn in Satabisha. Now, Rahu and Ketu here, I'm considering Rahu having its Multrikon in Cancer and Ketu having its Multrikon in Capricorn. This is what
it's interesting as to why we have never considered Cancer as the Multrikon of Moon.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very interesting. What I think is that, to be frank, there are two things which I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's actually the exaltation, Multrikon, and debilitation is actually controlled the nakshatras directly. So the nakshatra deities are responsible for the actual exaltation point, the debilitation point, and the Multrikon portion. So Moon is having its Multrikon throughout a little bit of Kritika and then throughout almost Rohini and Mrigashira.
Yeah, they say from 4 to 20 degrees is Multrikon. And that's where the Soma comes into play.
Right. So Rohini is definitely a Prajapati's nakshatra. They say 4 to 30 degree also, I think, that's one thing. But if you consider 4 to 30 degree, then Mrigashira nakshatra, whose deity Soma, comes into play. Rohini is Prajapati, who's like the creative force. That's also very important. And it's kind of interesting for Moon having its See, there is one interesting pattern here. Moon is having its exaltation and Multrikon in same sign. The child of Moon is supposed to be Buddha or Mercury. He's also having its
fifth from Taurus. Yes.
Exactly. Fifth from Taurus is exactly the Multrikon and exaltation sign of Mercury as well. So there is some interesting concepts here, in terms of that. Some interesting things you can see with regard to Moon and Mercury, with regard to exaltation and Multrikon sign. Now, what is further interesting is that Hasta, where Mercury is having its Multrikon and exaltation point, is also ruled by Moon in the Vimshottari Dasha. So that's also giving this interesting connection there. So those are simple side points, but they are great observation. I think exaltation, debilitation, and Multrikon signs need to be understood. But what is really fascinating about using Pi Paddathi is that even if you simply take these basic concepts, okay, this sign is where this planet is getting exalted, you are actually able to form an interesting relationship between the planets and the nakshatras directly. So I'll just illustrate that. But before we get into that, I just want to illustrate one simple concept. So here I'm just drawing the summary of all the signs. So for instance, for Sun is getting exalted in Aries, having its Multrikon in Leo, is getting debilitated in Libra. Now Sun is also the house lord, or it rules Leo. So that's what the circle here indicates. Now, if you make Aries as the ascendant, now what you see is that this exaltation sign becomes first house from Aries, Multrikon sign becomes fifth house, debilitation sign becomes seventh house, and Sun is the lord of the fifth house here. So you get these 1575 numbers from Aries. Now, if you change the ascendant to Taurus, you get a new set of numbers, which is 12, 4, and 6, based on Taurus ascendant.
Yeah.
So now you have a new set of house numbers with respect to the ascendant. And you can do the same set of operations for the rest of the signs. You can make Gemini as the ascendant, Cancer as the ascendant, and get these house numbers. And so as for the rest of the signs as well. But I just want to illustrate that the simple idea of Pai Paddathi here is that these three Rashis are connected to each other. And when you make any particular another Rashi as the ascendant, the exaltation, Multrikon, and debilitation signs will be connected with each other with respect to that particular Rashi through the house numbers that falls upon these Rashis. So for instance, if you make Aries as the ascendant, Sun is having its exaltation in Aries. So first house relationship with first house of Aries will have the influence of Sun there. Multrikon is falling in fifth house. So fifth house will have a Multrikon kind of influence of Sun there. Seventh house is where Sun is getting debilitated. So seventh house from Aries will have a debilitated effect of Sun there. And Sun is also the lord of fifth house. So all these Rashis, 1, 5, 7 houses will have a fifth house influence interfering in these three too. That is a simple way of looking at that. But here the simple idea is that, the concept of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So exaltation sign is like the Brahma sign of, Sun. Vishnu is like the Multrikon sign who's maintaining. So Brahma is creating. So exaltation, the planetary energies are very strong. Vishnu, the Multrikon sign where the Vishnu is balancing. So it's more balanced there. The head office there. Head office is there in Multrikon sign. And in debilitation, Rashi is more like the bad mortal, right? So it's like it's the Shiva or Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh or Shiva Rashi of that planet. So that's a simpler way to look at it. And always energy, you can consider energy flowing from Brahma Rashi to Vishnu Rashi and then to Shiva Rashi. So that's a simple way to look at it because the sequence of Trimurti is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So creation, preservation, and destruction. So that's a simpler way to understand the energy flow within these three Rashis also. And that's why, but depending upon the ascendant you use, these three Rashis, you can identify the house numbers and understand which areas of house or which areas of your life will have these kind of particular energy flowing with respect to that particular ascendant. That's the simple technique, these Rashis listed here will be connected with this particular ascendant. Or what I'm actually sharing is that Sun is having an invisible influence with respect to these three Rashis because of this energy flow happening with respect to Sun.
Right.
Now, you can obviously so understanding this simple idea is what I'm calling the dynamic balance. There is this energy flow between the exaltation Rashi to the Multrikon Rashi to the debilitation Rashi. Or the dynamic balance is happening between first house, fifth house, and seventh house with connection with fifth house again for Aries. And these are the other house numbers for the rest of the Rashis. With respect to Sun, that's very important. Now here, we have analyzed Sun. Now let's just erase that. Now let's just superimpose all the rest of the Rashis. So for Moon is getting exalted in Taurus. As we discussed, it's having its Multrikon in Taurus. It's getting debilitated in Scorpio, and it's also the house lord of Cancer as well. So the next planet is Mars, who is getting, the Mars Rashis are highlighted here. Mars is getting exalted in Capricorn, debilitated in Cancer, Multrikon in Aries. It's lord of Scorpio and Aries, as you can see here. Now Mercury is getting exalted in Virgo, Multrikon in Virgo, debilitated in Pisces, and so on. So here I'm just kind of adding up the the dynamic balance Rashis of all the planets here. So I've added Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. You can see Saturn getting debilitated in Aries, exalted in Libra, having its Multrikon in Aquarius as well. Yeah, and it's it's Lord of Aquarius and Capricorn, and then finally Rahu and then Ketu. So that's what I have listed here. Now this map. It's like the summary map of
just so people know that according to the Pai Paddathi system, Rahu's Multrikon Rashi is Cancer, Ketu's Multrikon Rashi is Capricorn, the sign of Multrikon office for them, in case everybody's like, when you were talking about Rahu, Ketu, in case they forgot.
Right, right, yeah, yeah. So here, what I've done is Rahu's Mool Trikon is in Cancer. So Rahu, the head of the square, you can see it's much more dark if you have a
Yeah.
good eye for the thing. The bottom portion of the square is dark for Ketu. So that's the thing which the color coding which I
Yeah.
use, the weird color coding system which I use. But here's this picture or this summary map is actually showing the invisible influences of all the planets and all the Rashis. That is the key. So like
Regardless of if they're placed or not there.
yes, there
Yeah.
will be an invisible influence of the Sun, of Saturn, of Mars in Aries Rashi, because Sun is getting exalted there. So you have to begin to think of Rashi as a field, which is kind of allowing certain planets to exercise its energy, express its energies in a particular fashion. So the Rashi is still the field and holding that potential of that planet to express itself. And that's the most important concept. These Rashis are connected with each other. And then you can see I highlighted the Sun Rashis early on. But then in Aries, you see other dynamic balance happening for Saturn. Saturn is getting exalted in Libra, debilitated in Aquarius, but it's getting having its Multrikon in Aquarius, sorry, and getting debilitated in Aries. So on the web of Sun, you have a small link of Saturn there. If you look at the color scheme, and then you also have a link between Mars there. So it's like working on the Sun, exaltation Sun. So say your ego is too high, then you can see that there is a tendency to serve others will go low. It's a simple thing. So Sun is exalted ego, Saturn is a service to others. So that ego becoming high is reducing your Saturn energy. Now in between, say you are willing to do some Mars Mool Trikon, you're trying to balance your anger, so or you're trying to balance your active force, then maybe to a point you can help in balancing these two planetary energies also. So that's an important thing. There is a dynamic balance happening between these Sun Rashis in the first place, but by linking the Rashis and planetary influences there, you can sort of link the energy that is happening within a particular field. Now, that is a simple concept, but to take this concept to the next level, now that's the biggest key. This is what I felt was very compelling. So as you know, I am just a nakshatra guy. I just know nakshatra. I just do research on nakshatras. Now, what the question I'm asking here is that can the nakshatra mythologies be connected with the influences of planets upon certain rashis in relation to the specific house number of that rashi when you make that nakshatra as the ascendant? So let me repeat that again. We know each nakshatra has a deity. That deity has certain mythological stories to it. But when we give astrological predictions, we are literally giving a prediction or a story for that client. They're saying this is going to happen. And then we are basically using astrology houses, planets, and rashis to describe that. So I'm just asking the question: can you identify the particular planets, particular houses, particular rashis, even for the mythological stories for a particular deity? That's the simple thing which I'm asking. And surprisingly, you can. And I'm just going to illustrate this with one particular nakshatra. So the fundamental approach here is that I'm making one particular nakshatra as the ascendant. I'm creating the pi map based on the nakshatra lord to determine the fundamental dynamic balance rashis and the corresponding house numbers. This is level one, which you look at the nakshatra lord, look at the rashis connected with the nakshatra lord, and then you identify the numbers there. But here, the third step here is make the nakshatra as the ascendant and consider the invisible influences of the rest of the planets around it. So I already explained that Aries is already having the influence of exalted Sun, debilitated Saturn, and Mars Mool Trikon. Now, when you make any nakshatra as the ascendant, and when you look at the influence of that other planets here in the rashis, now it's like now you're getting a different sense of what can happen. And then finally, you can say as a caveat, this needs much more explanation, but I won't go in depth. But the effect of invisible influence of the planet is having its exaltation, Mool Trikon, and debilitation. The same nakshatra will be stronger compared to the rest of the planets. So, for instance, say like as we know, Ashwini is what Sun is getting exalted, but Saturn is not getting exalted in Ashwini. It's getting debilitated in Bharani. So you can say that the influence of Sun and Mars, because Mars is having a Mool Trikon in Ashwini, both these planets will be stronger in Ashwini compared to Saturn's influence, which is happening in Bharani. Okay. But so you can think of this influence as a primary influence. Like Saturn, the planets that are directly involved with the nakshatra is having a primary influence. The secondary influence is the other planets that are influenced, within that same Rashi. So like how Ashwini will have the primary influence of Mars and Sun, Barney Saturn influence will be the primary influence for Barney. Whereas for Ashwini, the Saturn's influence will be the secondary influence. It's a simple way of looking at it. And for Barney, the Mars and Sun will be the secondary influence because it's not directly influencing within that Rashi.
So if a person is an Aries ascendant, but a Bharani Nakshatra, you can say they will have Mars and Saturn influence. Mars says if let's say somebody had an Aries ascendant with Ashwini, they have Mars and Sun influence more.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is correct. But there will still be an influence of Saturn because it's in the same Rashi, but it's a secondary influence, So when you talk to them about Sun and Mars, you'll see them excited, But when you talk to them about Saturn, they'll be like, yeah, it's true. That will be
also that. Venus because of Bharani?
Yes, exactly. For Bharani, for sure. Yes.
Okay.
But for Ashwini, they'll be looking at Ketu. So now that's the other thing. So when you make the pi map, you use the nakshatra lord to make the pi map influence, right? So that's the first level which you have to understand. So like how for Anuradha nakshatra, we made the pi map of Saturn. We identified the house numbers for Saturn, and then we were able to give the descriptions based on that, But then in spite of that, you could still see like, so those influences will be the main story of the nakshatra lord. So pi map, pi Paddathi level 1 is still relevant, But here I'm just taking it to the understanding the nakshatra in a deeper sense, to take it to the next level by looking at the invisible influence of the Rashis. So I'll just illustrate it with, so here this map is showing the invisible influences of all the planets in all the Rashis. And this is, you can think of this like the Kalpurush Kundali, where you are seeing all the influences of all the planets here. And now if I make any particular nakshatra as the ascendant, what I'm claiming is that one particular facet of the nakshatra deity, the deity that is connected with the nakshatra, can be seen through these planetary influences, the Rashis and the house numbers. So let me illustrate that point, simple point, with one particular nakshatra, which is Shravana. So here I have Shravana nakshatra here. You can see Shravana is here. Shravana is falling in Capricorn. Now, so Kapilji, now here I'm going to ask you a question. Now tell me who is the date. I'll be asking you a series of questions, So tell me, who is the main deity of Shravana?
Shravana would be Vishnu.
Shravana would be Vishnu. Okay, I'm just going to move out from my place. Okay, great. Shravana would be Vishnu, but what is the name of the deity in Shravana?
Tvastar or
No, not Tvastar, but it's Vishnu's one particular avatar is the deity of Shravana.
Main thing that I knew was the child who threw.
Exactly.
Which was actually
right. The child who threw the king off, right?
Yeah.
So, the child's name is Vamana. So the child is actually Vamana avatar. So now, interestingly, which planet is the nakshatra lord of Shravana?
Moon.
Now, which Rashi is Moon getting exalted?
In the 5th house.
Exactly, in the 5th house from Shravana.
Yeah.
It is getting exalted in the sign of Taurus. It is having its Mool Trikon and also in Shravana, in Taurus, sorry. It is getting debilitated in 11th house in Scorpio from Shravana Nakshatra's ascendant. So now you can say that this Shravana Nakshatra will have this fundamental theme, and Moon itself is the lord of 7th house. So this fundamental energy imprint of 5th house, 11th house, and 7th house is connected. This is the fundamental pi map of Shravana Nakshatra based on the moon's Rashis alone. Now tell me the story of Vamana Avatar. What actually happened within Vamana Avatar?
Well, this is where the child requested the king to only take a small portion of land, and he says, yeah, you can take it. And then he says, I'm only going to take 3 steps, and that's the enough land that I want from you. And the king like, only 3 steps? And he's like, yeah. But then the child grew big enough to where just in 3 steps it conquered the entire universe, not even just the land.
Right.
It conquered
Exactly.
everything. But
Right.
it was something that Shukracharya told the king that don't let the child take, if a child comes to ask you for the land, don't give it to him, but he still did. But I don't know exactly why it did that.
Right. Well, that's the story. You are correct. That is the story. So, well, let's just break down the story into different elements, right? So first we identify the child element from the Nakshatra Lord and the fifth house. So that element played out. We are able to identify that element within the story. The next element was that the child asked for 3 steps of land. Now, which house would you connect with steps?
12th house?
12th house is the feet. You take steps, right?
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, if you look at 12th house from Shravana, it is falling in Sagittarius.
Yeah.
Now, there is one planet that is having its invisible influence in Sagittarius. Which planet is that?
Jupiter.
Jupiter. Jupiter is having its Mula Trikon in Sagittarius. Now, what is really interesting is like if you look at Jupiter Rashis, now you see Jupiter is actually getting debilitated in Capricorn.
Yeah.
It is having its Mula Trikon in Sagittarius, and finally it is getting expanded or exalted in 4th house. Now, remember, 4th house is where it's the
You mean
house,
7th house?
it's the 7th house, right? It is having, is actually the moon is actually, the Nakshatra Lord is actually controlled with the 4th house. The 7th house, sorry, the 4th sign, Cancer, which is the 7th house with respect to Shravana. So now you can say the Jupiter dynamic balance of Jupiter Rashis is actually coming into play in respect to the story. The story is that of the child, the 5th house, asking for 3 steps of land, which is the 12th house Sagittarius, and he's expanding in size. You can see that Jupiter being exalted, expansion is Jupiter. You can see that Jupiter and Rashis are being hinted at within the story right now, because it's the 7th house is literally showing the completion of Shravana, the completion energies of Shravana, which we'll talk about a little bit in that after this is over. But you can see Jupiter's exaltation effect can also be seen in the story. So in the story, the child expanded to a size. Now here's the interesting thing: the child asked for 3 steps of land. Which planet is Karka for land?
Mars.
Exactly. So you see a link between Jupiter and Mars here, where Jupiter is getting debilitated, Mars is getting exalted.
Yeah.
So Jupiter is getting exalted, Mars is getting debilitated. So you're seeing that the child had to ask for land so that he could expand in size. What this is actually showing is Jupiter's expansion is happening with respect to land or Mars. There is a link between Jupiter and Mars that is happening here. Now here is where it gets, and here more importantly, if you look at Mars Rashis, right, is the first house. Is Mars is getting exalted. Mars is actually having its Multrikon in 4th house. And what is 4th house connected with?
Land.
Land. So you see that exalted is land, high land. 4th house is also land. And Mars is also getting debilitated with respect to 7th house. So the king actually lost his land at the, at the feet of a Brahmin. That's what happened. Now, here's the interesting thing. So here the story played out. Okay. Now, you also mentioned a bit about Shukracharya.
Yeah.
Now, which house is connected with Guru?
9th house.
Now, what is happening in 9th house with respect to Shukracharya?
Venus is getting debilitated.
So, yeah, that's the important point. Venus is Shukracharya, who was the Guru for the king. And you can see in the 9th house, literally, Shukracharya's advice was not listened to by the king. That's exactly what. And you look at the 9th house, you are seeing the story literally playing itself out. Like Venus getting debilitated is literally playing itself out. Now, there is also a side story to Venus Shukracharya. This is a famous story where Venus is actually getting blinded. Do you remember that part of the story?
No.
Okay. So the story part is that Venus was not being listened to, and then Venus decided, okay, Mahabali was about to use his Kamandalu to throw water to bless that, Brahmin. Okay, I've given you my word. You can have the land, Now, what interestingly happened was that Venus went down into the Kamandalu. He blocked the passageway for the water to flow. And then, Vamana had to take a straw and had to poke a hole within that water pot, the Kamandalu, so that the Venus water could actually flow out. So the water could flow out. And Venus actually got blinded within that process. Now, that is the story. Okay, that is the story element. But if you look into the houses and the summary map, you are seeing an interesting picture. Now, if you look at Venus, Mula Trikon, Rashi, Venus is getting debilitated in Virgo. This is ninth house. Now Venus, when Guru is trying to get involved, Guru is getting involved, it's kind of showing Guru is finally Venus is trying to finally get into the picture, into the main action of the story, right? So Venus Mool Trikon in 10th house is being activated because he's trying to be the main man, But then you see that, interestingly, Libra is the Rashi which is connected with Sun being debilitated and Saturn being exalted. You can see that here in the 10th house. Now, Venus Rashis are third house of Pisces, 10th house of Libra, ninth house of, Guru. Now, what you see is that the Venus dynamic balance is happening here within these Rashis, and of course with the Venus on signs as well. But what is also interesting is that Saturn's dynamic balance is also being linked in the Libra, because Saturn is getting exalted in Libra. Saturn is having its Mool Trikon in Aquarius in second house, and Saturn is getting debilitated in Aries. Now here is the interesting thing. What I'm interpreting is that the water pot of which the king's words were try to be fulfilled, right? That's actually I'm claiming that water pot is actually Aquarius Rashi, because that's the water. Water is being held there. The god Varuna is sitting there, and the king was trying to use that water from getting into play, But then what interestingly happened is that Venus tried to block the water flow from happening. So Saturn's dynamic Rashi is involving Aquarius, Libra, but Venus tried to interfere in that by activating his Mool Trikon, by coming into play. Now, what you see happening is that Venus tried to resist the water flow from happening. Venus tried to make use of Saturnian energies. He tried to block the water flow from happening from Aquarius Rashi, because these three Rashis are linked because of Saturn dynamic balance.
Yeah.
Venus tried to get into the Saturn dynamic balance and activate the resistance more. But then Venus lost his eyesight. He became blind. Or in other words, his light began to go down. The sun became debilitated in the same Rashi. So when Venus tried to get into Saturn's exaltation, he tried to activate the blockage. Sun became debilitated. His eyesight became blind. That's a big thing. So now that's what I believe is actually saying the story. Even though the story said that he lost the eyesight, he lost all that. It's actually describing the Rashis and the particular influences. It is actually describing that. You can actually see that if you connect these three Rashis in this particular Saturnian way, Saturnian Rashis, if you connect the Venusian Rashis, and then suddenly you're finding that, even if you look at the third house, when Guru's Upadesha, when Venus, whatever Venus tried to communicate was just not listened to by the king. And again, you can see that theme being played out in terms of Sun being debilitated where Venus is having its Mool Trikon. So the king did not listen to the Guru or the ninth house, and ninth lord, and or the planet that is influencing the ninth house. And you can see that kind of theme playing out here. And the story also said, finally the king had to bow down. King had to put his head down for Vishnu's final third step to be placed. So initially Sun is exalted in fourth house. The king is having a lot of land. And then he goes through a scandal, which is 8th house from Shravana. So he goes through unexpected event. And then he is literally having to deal with the loss of status. He's having to humble himself down so that his greed can be controlled, And finally, Vishnu's step is falling upon the humbled king Mahabali. But, it's interesting that Vishnu actually blessed Mahabali, saying, right now I'm sending you to Patal Lok, but you will be the Indra in the next Manvantara. So you can interestingly see how Saturn is exalted here. So over time, the king will actually be successful because Saturn's exaltation is happening in the next Manvantara. So now what I've described here, what I've done here is I've broken down each element of the Nakshatra mythological stories into planetary influences, planets, Rashis, and the corresponding house numbers with respect to a Nakshatra ascendant. Now, what this gives us a freedom to do is that once you identify the influences in this particular way, you can make use of these Rashis in ways to balance the Nakshatra in a free way. Now, for Shravana Nakshatra native, Venus is getting debilitated in the ninth house. Venus can be wife, Venus can be partner. These natives may not be open to listening to their wife's opinion. When the wife is becoming a guru, the ninth house debilitation of Venus is happening. But then it might require a lot of communication skills, because you can see the same Rashi is where Mercury is getting exalted and Mercury is having a smooth Trikon. So these natives might have to talk a lot more, to influence that. And these natives are one simple remedy for Shravana is to walk a lot. So what is happening when they are walking a lot, So it's like the 12th house from Shravana is being activated. So Jupiter's Mool Trikon is being activated. So because that Vishnu Rashi of Jupiter is being activated, that energy will flow from Vishnu Rashi to the Brahma Rashi, from Sagittarius to Capricorn. So things are actually improving for the Shravana natives by walking a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now you can apply this to many ways. So like say these natives are facing loss of ego. You just tell them to study astrology. Why? Because loss of ego is happening in 10th house of Sun being debilitated. You tell then by activating the Mool Trikon Rashi of Sun, you can say that you study astrology, look into Rashi, look into even look into your sun sign. What is that? Because Sun is come to the 8th house. So that Vishnu Rashi is going into 10th house influence of Libra, where it can be balanced. So, but this is simple. It's a simple concept.
Can you say that every Capricorn ascendant Saravan person will come across a situation where they will ignore the advice of either a mentor or father, lose a fixed asset, lose reputation, but then eventually after becoming humble, they will rise again in life?
Yes, exactly that. I've seen literally exactly that play out.
And perhaps a kid may be involved in ruining them whether a kid takes their position in their workplace, throws them off the throne.
See, these natives might have properties in their wife's name, and they might be willing to put that property to do a business, to do a risky business. Now, kid is actually 5th house here. They might be willing to put their property to make a risky investment, and they might actually end up losing the property.
Okay, why did you say they may put the property under their wife's name?
Because Venus is let's look at that property. Venus is having its Mool Trikon in Libra, but Venus Venus and Mercury is interlinked, right?
Yeah.
But then you look at 7th house, you can see Mars is getting debilitated there. Now see, a debilitation Rashi will have these natives are very wise. Shravana natives are very wise. They
7th Rashi is the spouse, where Mars, the Karka of land, is debilitated. So if the wife is involved, or the male spouse is involved in the property, the loss will. Okay, I see what you're saying.
And there can be variations. Perhaps the spouse can be the person who is responsible for the property loss. The spouse might be saying, you know what, you should use the property and do that. And then so there may be
runs away with the property.
Right. So but the important thing is that here we are identifying the elements of the mythological story. We can identify spouse, we can identify land, we can identify names, you can identify the planetary influences. And then suddenly now the mythological story is coming alive in terms of astrological influences. Now, okay, Shravana natives are great at translating foreign languages. Why is that? So what house is language?
3rd house.
3rd house. Now you can see 3rd lord is Jupiter. Jupiter is also the 12th house. Now what is 12th house?
Foreign lands.
Exactly. So 12th house and 3rd house connections is literally foreign languages, So these natives, now see, why are Shravana natives great at listening itself? Because 12th house is the house of listening, the subconscious listening, So you can see that they are even listening first to even communicate, the foreign language also. So that's why now see, even one other concept I'll just share and just end this part of the concept presentation. It's like, even the symbols of nakshatras can be identified in terms of houses. Like now, for instance, Shravana, the symbol is year. Now, which house is connected with year?
3rd.
3rd, okay. Maybe you can say even 2nd house also.
2nd house, well, yes, the face,
Right. So if you look at 2nd house, you can see Saturn's Mool Trikon is actually falling there. And Saturn is the Rashi Lord. So these natives have the strong karma with their 2nd house part of their face, And you can make variations of that, not just face, you can say even listening, you can go on about that, So that's the thing, that's the big thing here, right? So, and then, you can play the same thing with all other nakshatras. Like try to identify the house with respect to what the symbol is actually pointing to. For instance, Barney, it's like, the womb, right? The womb can be showing either the fourth house is mother's womb, but eighth house is also the sexual organ, right? Now, eighth house is literally ruled by Mars or Barney. Now, that itself can signify, okay, there is an eighth house effect to Barney. The sudden event will happen with respect to Barney. Now, if you look at Ardra, for instance, Ardra is like the teardrop. Now, again, now you're having second house, Now, Ardra, Rahu's Mool Trikon is happening in second house from with respect to Ardra. So, there's Rahu influence of teardrop. This Rahu will be happening over their face. That can be there. So, and so many things can, but that is going to require a lot more research, this simple identifying of houses with respect to elements. But even doing this part of simply deciphering the mythological stories in terms of identifying the corresponding planets, Rashis, and the houses, that itself is giving you so much freedom in understanding the nakshatras, and especially in remedies also.
Can we also say for Saravan that
Right.
birth of a child will increase their career and reputation?
Yes, 100%. Because Venus,
remember, has the 5th and 10th influence, like the language thing you were saying.
Exactly.
So with the birth of a child, it is also the place where the fame and status will become active.
Exactly.
And if you look at the chart of Obama, right after Sasha was born, he became the professor in Harvard, or started to go for government, positions. When Malia was born, right after that, he became a successful mayor in Chicago.
Right. You can see that very easily. When the first child was born, the 5th house is activated.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, 5th house and 10th house, the career became stable. All that happened. Then the second child born, the 7th house is activated. 7th house, you can see Mars is being debilitated here. So which is meaning that Jupiter is exalted. So whenever the planetary influence or debilitation is happening, that there will be a void of that planetary energies there. So this native will try to fill events, which the events will flow into this native's life, which will try to fill up that void in particular way. So that so Obama had to become a mayor of the homeland, whatever the homeland was, like politics. 4th house is where the Mars Mool Trikon is falling. So energy from 4th house will be connected with 7th house. So he became a leader. The energy flew in a Martian way. So leadership, skill, that's exactly what played out when the
he fulfilled his weakness by actually becoming a leader.
Exactly that. Now, I always say that human technology is the best technology. Having a child can bring in karmic influences that can actually improve your life, But you can obviously do it through other means. Since, astrology, 5th house is again creativity, projects, all that, 7th house is business partnership, all that fame, element, all that can also be done. But yeah, a great example with respect to Obama, 100% that. Yeah.
Because also in his ascendant, Jupiter is debilitated and Saturn is exalted.
Right.
So in order for him to become a leader, he had to leave his teaching job.
Right.
Exactly. And then he became the administrator, the mayor, Saturn's public service. So in order for him to do public service, he has to leave his position as a teacher and teaching.
Right. Exactly that. Exactly. And now you can see the magic of almost connecting the Rashis and things like that. Now you can even take Obama's stature expanded in size. No one expected he would become huge. Exactly, that's the Shravana theme playing out, It's like literally he became a huge personality. Like his first step was fine, second step was fine, the third step was huge, Like how that Shravana energy played out.
From a teacher to a mayor to president of the United States.
Exactly. So you can see that, a son being debilitated is actually showing that he became the king over time.
Yeah. And the scandal that he had to face was that people thought he was not born in US.
Exactly.
That was the reputation.
Exactly. So the scandal, we can be much more precise with regard to was his government documentation.
Yeah.
So son is getting debilitated in 8th house. So that's the way he had to deal with that.
Yeah.
To kind of prove that, he was actually born in Hawaii, So again, you can think of that sun's influence with Venus. Venus is controlled with Mercury. So that kind of influence, that documentation influence was actually what was coming out. It was a government kind of documentation, which was a scandal. Which had to be, Wow. Yeah, but yeah, you can. So even with Obama itself, he had to walk. He definitely had to walk for sure with Shravana. 100% he had to walk. He probably made use of social media in a big way. That was a great reason
well,
for
he
his
was the
election.
first president to get the Twitter and the Facebook going. That's why he was the initial person who brought the social media to win the election.
Right. Now, what is really interesting about social media influence is that you can see Rahu is actually having his moon Trikon in 7th house. So the way he connected with public is by making use of Rahu influence. That was the big danger.
And remember, he rejected his priest in his church who claimed that he was practicing Islam, but he's like, no, I'm not connected to this priest of my church. So he rejected the priest.
Right.
Debilitated Venus.
Yeah, exactly that. So Venus is actually connected with Islam too. If you look at Islamic rituals, Venus is there. But yeah, literally that. So again, there you go. So yeah. Yeah, definitely these natives are prolific writers. You can
he has written books. So yeah.
Yeah, so you can see that Jupiter being debilitated there.
Well, his is actually Uttarashada, I think. I'm not sure what his ascendant is. I don't know if I have it.
Yeah, but even in the Uttarashada, the Jupiterian influence will be strong because Jupiter is actually getting debilitated in Uttarashada.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So all the Jupiterian things would just he was more like a visionary. People connected with him on a philosophical, idealistic manner. He was. It was like oh, finally we have hope. Even for him to that's clearly Jupiterian influence, which you could say. So there you go. But
Jupiter is exalted in the 7th house of other people. They looked at him as the inspiration and teacher for the masses.
Exactly. I mean, he will definitely serve as a great inspiration for Mars will also connect with black people. You could see that also in a way.
Yeah.
Mars also connect with athletes and all that. Definitely that is also one more way. But in general, he gave a hope to many larger groups of people. That is definitely clear. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
Whether it be Uttarashada or Shravana, both will play out. So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So this is great. I just you took it to you explained that with a perfect example too. So that's also great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
So
Thank you.
I'll stop sharing the screen with respect to the Paddathi.
Yeah.
And I'll just talk briefly about what we talked again about the
Trikon Nakshatra.
Right. So the idea was that so I was talking with Kapilji about how I briefly talked about this in Dr. Pai's channel with my interview with Bharat Ram. So I was talking this idea that one nakshatra is definitely not really connected with one nakshatra is actually connected with its opposite nakshatras to each other. So say you have a so for instance Swati nakshatra is actually opposite to two nakshatras.
Keep talking. Yeah. I'll be right back. Just give me 2 minutes. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, teaching.
Right. So I was just saying that Swati nakshatra is actually opposite to Ashwini and Bharani nakshatra. Now, what is really interesting is that those nakshatra energies will be one way how those one nakshatra kind of complements the other nakshatra, or one nakshatra will complete the other nakshatra. For instance, Swati is a simple way of looking at that is to connect Swati with Hanuman. Hanuman is the deity connected with Swati, and the opposite nakshatra is Ashwini. Now, Hanuman's karma, to fulfill Hanuman himself, he had to fulfill his karma with Ram and Lakshman. So it's like you can think of Ram and Lakshman being the twin brothers, the Ashwin Kumars. So he had to fulfill his karma with a set of brothers. That became the entire Ramayana, right? That is a big part of Ramayana. And remember, even Hanuman also came between another set of brothers as well. Before Ram and Lakshman, he came between Bali and Sugriv, the monkey kings, and his brother. So that's also very important story. So in a way, Swati Nakshatra finds its completion in Ashwini Nakshatra. And then also its completion in Bharani Nakshatra as well. Now, Bharani Nakshatra is an interesting connection with Hanuman because Hanuman, if you remember Hanuman's story, he actually was reminded of his gifts by Jambavan, who was a bare-headed being. Now, bear is definitely an animal connected with Barney because, literally Barney is bearing and bear itself is named for bearing. You can so you can see how Jambuan had to remind Hanuman of his gifts when Hanuman had forgotten his own abilities. So in a way that's how that Hanuman's life story played out with Jambuan. So Jambuan literally, so Hanuman was searching for Sita at the and he reached the shores of India, and Lord Ram's wife went missing. So he reached the shores of India. The only place left to search was Lanka, and he basically felt dejected. He didn't know what could be done. Where else is to be searched. He knew that the only place left to search was Lanka, but then he felt dejected. He didn't know what to do. Jambuan reminded Hanuman by saying, "Look, when you are a child, you jumped up into the sky thinking sun was an apple. So why are you really making a big deal about jumping over the ocean to Lanka?" So it's a very simple concept, and Hanuman suddenly, and Jamban said, "Yeah, when you are a child, you obviously were cursed by the rishis, so that you will forget your own gifts because you chased the sun. The sun went away, sun ran away, and the entire world fell into darkness. And because of which the rishis curse stick by you, and now you have forgotten your gifts." Now Jamban reminded Hanuman, and that's what actually played out. And once Jamban reminded Hanuman, once the Barney was activated, Swati's energies just flew very well. And this concept can be done with any other nakshatra. So you find the opposite nakshatra to each other, and you might find how those nakshatras are interlinked. So Swati is linked with Ashwini and Barney, as I mentioned. So Jamban is a very ordinary looking person. Barney is actually the nakshatra where Saturn is getting duplicated. So it's kind of interesting. I was just talking about Barney, and and then your dog came up. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Oh, that's right, Barney. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just talking about that completion nakshatra. So any nakshatra, you take the opposite nakshatra, which will just help out in completing that. That's one simple thing. So for instance, Anuradha nakshatra is opposite to Kritika nakshatra. So if you make use of a knife or Kritika, you're just using a knife to even cut vegetables. Even that's a simple remedy that can help in calming your Anuradha moon down. So say your moon is in Maga, it is opposite to Dhanishta nakshatra. So then if you listen to music, Maga natives will actually find a lot more calming, simple way. It's a simple concept of opposite nakshatra. You can apply this to any nakshatra, it's a simple way to balance. So because the sound, it's the nakshatra opposite to that particular nakshatra is the sound house. It's representing the completion. Like how ascendant is rising and descendant is the completion, Same thing you can apply to even the trinal nakshatra. Now, trinal nakshatra is an interesting concept. The idea is that all the three nakshatras of the same planetary lords are actually connected with each other. It's a simple thing. And you can actually take this concept to many different levels. Like, say, you have simple thing is that Swati and Ardra and Satabisha is actually connected with Rahu, right? Now, Swati nakshatra is actually, these natives are great at healing. Why is that happening? So look at the next Rahu rule nakshatra is actually Satabisha, is 100 healer. So definitely you find that energies are intermixed. That's the one thing. And Swati nakshatra natives might, you could say, these natives might also go through a lot of struggle, a lot of, they might like storms, they might like thunderstorms, all that. And now suddenly you are connecting with Adra, which is literally Rudra, So you'll be surprised when you begin to see the three nakshatras interlinked. And to a point where I'm finally 100% sure, say you have two Rahu rule nakshatras activated. The third Rahu rule nakshatra, through a presence of a planet or any ascendant or anything like that, the third nakshatra will also be activated within that native. So you ask that native stories about the third nakshatra.
So pretty much they're like, if one person is, let's say, Aradhra, they will also play out the theme of Satabishak and Swati at one point in their life.
Yes, exactly. So but it might happen in a 9th house way, or it might happen in a 5th house way.
Fifth house way. So let's say if a planet is in, let's say moon is in Aradhana in the 2nd house,
Right.
then the theme of Swati will play out in the 6th house and
Right.
Sattavishya in the 10th house.
Right. So these natives, for instance, they might love to wander, because Swati is like wandering. It's like travel. And then they might go for a foreign philosophy and try alternative means of healing as well. Or they might try a different kind of philosophy, which is Rahu in Sattavishya, 9th house,
But if it's happening in the 10th house, how can you say that? Was that related to somehow with their profession or?
Yeah, so in 10th house, you can say moon is in 10th house in Ardra. So these natives might face a lot of trouble. Maybe you could say not trouble really. Already they have a thunderstorm, right? So now think of this way. So Swati is the wind, Sattavishya is the 100 healers, and Rahu is the teardrop, right? So you have a wind, you have a thunderstorm happening. Now a wind is happening. First you have the wind that is playing out, and then the whole rain is coming up. And then your Ardra is actually showing the teardrops, right? The small teardrop that is happening. Then you make Sattavishya now as the ascendant, showing the 100 healers are present there, and the 100 healers are literally first the teardrop is forming, and then you also have wind playing out. So these natives will probably go through teardrops themselves in a different way. The Ardra might happen for them in a creative way. They are trying something new. They're trying different new ways. And then the Swati is also bringing this wandering element, but in a 9th house way. So it's like the 9th house, they might be more inclined to wander, whereas in teardrop will be the creative project where they're trying to heal, trying to bring something new. All the technological kind of innovation which Sattavishya is bringing.
Okay.
So it's like, but what was really surprising for me was that on a Sattavishya Nakshatra day, I encountered a situation where I was planting a sapling. So sapling is connected with Swati because of the young sapling coming out of the ground and being swayed by the wind. And then, but it happened in a Sattavishya kind of an environment where a lot of other plants and all that. So it's kind of interesting to think about the 3 nakshatras owned by the same planets in the same way, and you'll be surprised at the connections that can come out.
So tell me something about what happened?
It's just a light here in the room, so I had to walk around. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Okay. So tell me something about Mula, because I have something interesting here to say.
Okay, so Mula, you have Ashwini. Now this is a brilliant point. Okay. In Mula, you actually have Ashwini, and then you have Magha. Okay. Now Mula Nakshatra natives, you'll find so many natives are into aircraft repairing, aircraft things. Why? Ashwini is all about going up. Ashwini is the height. Even Swati natives also love mountain climbing because Ashwini Nakshatra is opposite to Swati. Mula Nakshatra natives might be trying to bring something new, something fundamental. So you can see that 5th house Leo is also activated. The natural 9th house, that Magha Nakshatra is also activated in a way. The Mula Nakshatra native is about roots. Part of the roots is definitely about looking into the ancestors straight up. So Pitris and Mula are directly connected. Now, connecting with the roots itself is healing for the Mula native. Straight up Ashwini Kumar theme is actually.
You said Mula just started growling for some reason.
Yeah, see, exactly.
You told me about that, right?
Exactly.
You talk about Ketu and dogs come in.
Exactly, I told you, right? So like with Oman is like, especially with Ketu, when you talk about planets, those planets will come alive.
The planets come alive. Okay.
Yeah.
So what else are you saying about Mula?
Mula, so roots, ancestors, and then they finally make it healing. And Mula is also beginning something new. Now
okay.
Really,
yeah. Now, can you also say Mula is secrecy or no? Secret.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So now I figured out an interesting concept after your talk in Chicago.
Right.
Why is it that most people use Vimshottari Dasha but do not get the result? But intelligent astrologers use Yogini only and make predictions like that. Why?
I don't know much. Go ahead.
Okay. Because Vimshottari Dasha is connected to Rohini. And Yogini Dasha is connected to Mula.
Interesting.
And because of the fact Rohini represents entertainment, but no substance, Vimshottari Dasha will show you the outer layer of what is happening. But if you really want to make precise decisions to the pinpointing to the event, go to Yogini. Why?
Don't know why. Because Mula?
Sandeep, you know it.
Because Mula?
Sandeep, why?
I don't know why.
Okay. The sound of Mula,
Ooh.
Ya,
Oh, brilliant.
Yogini.
Brilliant. Yeah,
Sound of
brilliant.
Vimshotri, Rohini. Rohini, Ba.
Ooh, right.
Bo.
Right. That's brilliant. Brilliant. Brilliant
So
analysis.
Vimshotri becomes more of an entertainment thing where not too much of a substance is there. This is why, like when you do marriage consultation, the Mahanantra Dasha is just not connecting. And you're like, how the hell did you get married in this?
Right.
You go Yogini, it shows right there why it happened.
Interesting.
So when you told me in Chicago, relate everything to the sound,
right.
and I was, because now I simply use Yogini to make most of my predictions.
Right.
And I figured out why.
Yeah, that's
I was
that's
doing my car consultation, and I'm like looking at the letters of the car manufacturer, and suddenly I saw Yo, and I saw Yogini.
Right.
My eyes was also on the Yogini Dasha on the software.
Right. That's a brilliant point, because your Mula natives, if they do yoga, it's brilliant for them. Now see all the sounds with yo, it's like great, and these natives will know yoga philosophy.
And it'll activate Ketu, which is a cult.
Exactly that, and then you activate Ketu, all the Ketu nakshatras will be activated. You can see Ketu ruled nakshatra, sun being in 5th house,
Once I took this level 3 course with Mark Boni, and he showed some details about the Yogini Dasha.
Right.
A lot more than what the video he made with me. I mean, it was just like I'm like, where was Yogini Dasha my entire life?
Right. Interesting.
It is, you wanna be a good astrologer, just use Yogini.
Interesting.
No Vimshotri, no even Chara. Use Yogini.
Interesting. I'll have to try that now. Yeah.
Then the other thing that I also I just want to make sure that I got this correctly before I say it, because I was looking into it. Okay, so which nakshatras are the nakshatra of astrologers?
Probably Mula, probably Maga.
Uttara Falguni.
Uttara Falguni, okay.
Anuradha.
Okay.
Satvishak.
Right.
Okay. Also, what do you call Pushyas?
Okay.
Okay, so now Uttara Falguni were the counselors to the kings.
Right.
The mythology.
Right.
Which pretty much really meant astrologers. Right. Okay, so for an astrologer also, Uttara Falguni has the sound Pa.
Yes.
That means, and this is something that I've also made the video on, using the Padha Navamsha Dasha. Padana Dhamsa Dasha.
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
Use Yogini and Padana Dhamsa Dasha.
Yes.
You don't need anything.
Great. Interesting. What was the third?
In my readings, I barely not even go to Vimshotri. I go straight to Padana Dhamsa and Yogini.
Right.
Vimshotri is just like surface, like Sandeep is, let's say, going to Venus Dasha. Okay, so you're going to be romantic, you're going to be creative, you're wanting luxury. Okay, that's fine. You get it. You're like, yeah, that makes sense. But, okay, so in this period, you went to foreign lands and you got into an accident.
Right.
While that Vimshotri Mahanantra Dasha may not be giving me that, it may be giving me something else. So in that time period, you came to me as a reading, and you want to see, let's see if you can figure out my accident that occurred in the last 5 months. Vimshotri probably just showing you were investing in a stock market. You are probably.
Right.
But when I went to Yogini and I saw this and this Dasha operating 6th, 8th, and this is happening, oh, you run into some accident with this. Like, yes.
Right.
See, that's more of a thing than, you were involved in romance and all that. That can happen anytime. So, Mula, Yogini.
Interesting. Yeah. So the basic idea, just to help out the audience, is that we were simply connecting the nakshatra pada sounds with literally everything. Even to astrological techniques, even to the name of a car, even to the name of the item, even to the name of your persons in your life.
Yes.
Then, but exactly what that, that's a brilliant point, like Kapilji, what you mentioned.
Like that. It just came in a nanosecond. Like, why is it Yogini Dasha has been giving me excellent results? It's actually the Mula in my chart.
Exactly.
It activates my Ketu.
Right. The
Based on my Ketu, which is completely all about occult and mysticism,
right.
it shows me the answer right away.
Right. That's a brilliant point, because we don't really understand the mysteries of sound itself completely.
Completely. That's right.
Yeah, because
And
there
you
is
yourself should
right.
use Yogini, because if you do, boom.
Yeah. Now I have to begin to look
I mean,
into
what
that.
I'm trying to say in general, astrologers should use Yogini
Yes. Yes.
more than
Definitely.
anything else, because it's
Right.
connected to the element of Jyotish, Ketu, occult and mysticism,
Right.
the co-ruler
Yes,
of the 8th house.
yes, definitely.
And ninth
Definitely.
house of the Kal Purusha is Mula, which is counseling. Your counseling becomes activated in a good way.
Right. And also astrologers should be doing yoga and stuff too.
Yes.
Just to activate that mula more. So yeah, definitely.
I just finished doing yoga with my wife. It was excellent. I never miss my yoga class.
Yeah, right.
See that?
Yeah.
You remember the humor? I'm activating the humor.
Yeah, that's good. Good, great.
But
yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
so anything like for example, I said Uttara Falguni is for astrologers.
Yes.
Okay. So what has made astrologers' life easy in the last year?
Computers.
No, in the last year.
Last year, I don't know. Books, YouTube, I don't know.
Pai Paddathi.
Oh, okay.
Connected to Falguni for counselors.
Yes.
And astrologers to use Pai Paddathi Yogini Dasha.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, pass on.
Then, what else can astrologers should use to make excellent predictions?
I don't know.
Padham Chakra.
Oh, Padam, right. Pass sound, yeah.
Each house equals to an age. Age 1, age 2, age 12. So Padam Chakra, Pai Paddathi.
Yes.
And Yogini.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think definitely. That makes a lot of sense. I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. I think that is brilliant. I think, even perhaps even the Uttara Falguni natives might be more inclined to Parashara
astrology. That's right.
Yeah. And then you go to Gemini, these natives might be more like, the Ja sound of probably Uttarashada or Purvashada, something like that.
Uttarashada, yeah.
Or Shravana even.
Yeah, let's see. The Ja sound, let's say J-A, Uttarashada.
Exactly. So Gemini is literally invincible victory, right?
Invincible. Gemini predictions are like snapshot.
Right.
It's like snapshot. Oh, this has happened. Oh, this is who you are. Okay, that is. I know.
So yeah, exactly that. So that's a brilliant point.
But remember how beautifully it is. Vimshotri is connected to Rohini. It's just it's a fluffy, fine. It's like a flirtation type.
Yes.
You're just flirting. You're like, okay, a little bit, fine, yeah. Yes, I'm Saturn. I feel old. I'm actually like you tell somebody in Saturn Dasha, you feel old and aged and great. Well, of course, I'm 50 years old. I'm old. But then if you go, hey, you had a romantic affair last year. Why am I saying this? I'm activating the Uttara Falguni and Mula. That's all I need to do. I'm the astrologer and my source is Mula. I'm picking things from the black hole that nobody can. And that's where all the mysterious things are.
Yes, that's brilliant. I would say that's straight up brilliant way to apply the Nakshatra sound techniques to Jyotish techniques itself.
Jyotish techniques.
That's the next level of analysis with respect to Nakshatra. 100%.
Yeah.
Great, Kapiel. I'm happy with that. Yeah, definitely.
Aha! So let's say if I use just another one of the most intense astrological system is what? Bhrigu.
Yeah, Bhrigu.
Bhrigu.
Yeah.
Mula.
Mula, exactly. Bhrigu is Mula, definitely.
Bhrigu.
Right. If you study Bhrigu systems, then definitely.
Because there's no BR sound in Sanskrit. It's a Bhrigu. Mula.
Right. Yes.
So Bhrigu techniques are like snapshot predictions as well.
Yes, definitely 100%. Because the sound thing, I've just seen it working. Like literally, we haven't even understood the depths of sound. Like there is a reason that name came up.
So this is something I also figured out, that in meditation, an astrologer should use the Bij mantra of Ya. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Meaning they're
Yeah.
activating Mula and the Yogini Dasha. So if they're using Yogini Dasha, use the
Yes.
Bija. Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
Yogini.
Definitely.
If
Definitely
they want to
also.
sustain themselves in astrologer, then use the sun Pa.
Yes.
Paya. Om
Yeah.
Paya.
Yeah.
Om
Definitely.
Paya.
So even content with God's names whose names are beginning with Pa, Parvati, or
Yeah.
maybe other Parashuram, or
No,
like
Parashra.
yeah, Parashara himself, yeah, definitely. But
So
yeah, that's a great powerful secret which you share, what you just shared right now. Because if you know nakshatras, then immediately you can connect the beginning names of different sages.
like if you use Chara Dasha, you can become the king of astrologers.
Definitely, 100%. Because Ashwini and Revati is activated there. The cha
There
sound is
you
that
go.
bonus.
And
Yes,
I love using Chara Dasha. I mean,
yes,
using the Jaimini Raj yogas and Chara Dasha for status.
yes,
It's so simple. It's so simple and
yes.
easy.
In fact, this is one of the things which I always say, that there are astrological techniques which you are very naturally drawn to.
Naturally drawn to because my planets are naturally
Yeah,
drawn to. I mean,
right,
I never even thought. I thought Jaimini was so tough and hard, and I never wanted to learn it.
right,
But when I learned it, it activated my planet, and it's like, oh my God, this is who I
right,
am. I am supposed to learn Gemini.
right,
Where was Gemini in my life?
right. Exactly, exactly. That's
So
brilliant. Yeah,
that's and if you look, Pisces is the most spiritual sign.
right,
Revti is the most spiritual, nakshatra of
right,
the deep sea.
right,
Charadhasha is
right.
Revti.
Yes,
It is the final say of
yes,
who you are.
yes, yes. It is possible.
Get
Yes,
away from the fluff stuff, come to the
yes,
depth, and then come to the final conclusion. So I always use Yogini first and
yes.
Shara to make my
Right.
conclusion.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, that's
And if
great.
I'm gonna use Charadhasha, I'm gonna definitely, for me, a fish aquarium will help. You
Yeah,
make great
definitely.
predictions with
100% because Pisces is fish aquarium. Pisces is fish. You have planets in, you want to activate planets in
So
Pisces by a
certain
fish
astrologer
aquarium.
may have like a fish
Yes.
next to them, fish aquarium next to them if they're using Charada. If they're very
Yeah.
deep astrologers, you can see the items, why they have certain items in them.
Yes,
Like S.K.
100%.
Mehta smoked continuously,
Yes. Rahu, yeah.
continuously smoked.
Yeah.
His Rahu was so powerful, it always became active.
Yes.
That's why I told you that when I started smoking cigars, whenever I smoke cigar and look at a chart, it's just like a butter on, bread.
Yes.
So anyway,
Yeah.
Sandeep, don't want to
Yeah.
take too much of your time. I know you got to go to the bar. Everybody's waiting for you. Go drink, have fun. Okay, stay out of
Yeah,
trouble.
I have to get food, but yeah. But yeah, this was great. We talked a lot of great stuff. I think
Yeah,
I share level 2, the pi, the sound of, even the opposite and trinal nakshatra chord. So those
yep.
are like, those definitely need a lot of work to be done. And I encourage the viewers to definitely, there are strong researchers out there who are watching also. So I would definitely encourage them to put their thoughts, put some work into it, and maybe we can advance it forward. But yeah, the final point which you shared was brilliant. I'm sure that is going to, help many people out there. So thank you
I
so much.
know. Yep. So
Yeah.
thank you, Sandeep.
Yeah.
Bye bye.